Hey guys, it's Kaz here, aka Cats and Camera, and today I'm doing Top 5 Wednesday. This week the topic is favourite LGBTQIA+ reads. I will leave the Goodreads group below if you want to check it out and start doing Top 5 Wednesday yourself. Then it's in the description below. Personally, this was kind of a hard one to narrow down to 5 because I've read so many good books, but I like to think that I've got a little bit of a selection. It could have easily just put 5 contemporaries down, I'd be done with it, but I feel like I've got a nice little selection. Anyway, let's just get into it. So talking about contemporaries, my first pick is The God Box by Alex Sanchez, and this is about our main character Paul, and as you can tell by the title, he's religious. He goes to a school where most people are quite religious, and a new guy starts the school who is also a Christian but is also gay, and throughout the book he kind of tells Paul, explains how he can be religious but also be himself. And yeah, it's a really good book. It uses a lot of different sections from the Bible and explains how it's not as bad as some people try and make it out to be. Like, some people use one sentence and then demonize every single gay person in the world. But this book tries to show that you can believe in God, or the Christian God, and still be gay. I'm not religious myself, but I did find this really interesting read. So even if you're not religious, or whether you are or not, I think this is a really good book. So next up, if you're looking for a contemporary with a little bit of a sci-fi twist, then my next choice is for you. Although you've probably read it already. It's More Happy Than Not by Adam Silvera. This is such a good book. So this follows our main character Aaron, who is just going about life, hanging out with his friends, and it's just basically everyday life. But there's also this sort of sci-fi twist where in this world the government or some sort of corporation has been able to make a process where you can take memories from people. So if you've gone through a hard time, or you've got PTSD or something, or there's something you want to forget, then you can go and have this procedure where you do forget. It's just a really interesting concept. I cried for the last third of the book constantly, not a little bit here and there. Like, for 100 pages I was crying. But yeah, it's definitely a really good book, and if you haven't checked this out, then you definitely should. Next up, if you're after a series, then my next recommendation is the Half Bad series. This one I know is kind of mixed. A lot of people love it, a lot of people hate it, mostly because of the ending. Obviously I'm not going to say anything about that. But this one's a weird one for me, because when I started Half Bad, I absolutely hated it, because the first section of the book is written in second person and I just could not get behind it. But he does eventually get away from that second person, and after that I really got into the series. This follows Nathan, who is a witch, and in this universe there's dark witches and light witches, you know, bad ones and good ones. And he has parents, so one of them's a white and one of them's a black witch. It's kind of got a nice little undertone of what racism is, but told in a way where it's witches that are dark and light. And yeah, I really enjoyed this series. It has a gay character and a bisexual character in here, and yeah, you should definitely check this out. This is another one that, if you're like me, it'll make you cry. So next up, if you want to move away from the YA and go into something more adult and more hard-hitting with really horrific topics but also really interesting and harrowing to read, then I recommend Mysterious Skin by Scott Haim. As you can tell by the fact that it's got Joseph Gordon-Levitt on the front, it's also been made into a film, so you should check that out as well. But basically this book follows two main characters, and something horrific happened in their childhood when they were really young, and they've both sort of dealt with it in different ways. So one of them, they can't remember at all what happened to them, and they've just sort of blocked it out of their memory, and they have this big gap in their memory where they can't remember, and they think that they were abducted by aliens. So it's his whole story of trying to find the aliens and trying to figure out what happened to him. And the other character played by Joseph, remembers everything that happened, and it's kind of chosen the path for his whole life. He's a male prostitute. He has a really hard time. There's some really, really horrible and harsh things in this, and I definitely would not recommend this for somebody who gets triggered easily. But if you do like really dark, disturbing stories that does have very descriptive scenes in it of rape and abuse, and like there's a scene where one of the Johns that Joseph character's with like hurts him quite bad, so it's a really horrible book. That's really weird that I'm recommending a horrible book, but it is really a really good book about a really horrible topic. So like I say, go into it at your own caution. If you know you can handle that sort of stuff, then read it. If you know you can't, then stay away. And last but not least, if you're into something a bit more weird and wonderful, then I recommend Grasshopper Jungle by Andrew Smith. Now in this one, basically somebody accidentally starts the apocalypse, which is giant mantises, like 7-foot mantises that just go around impregnating people and then eating them and making more massive mantises to take over the world. So yeah, it's called Grasshopper Jungle, but it's actually praying mantises that are the thing in here. But yeah, this is a really weird and wonderful book, as quite a few of Andrew Smith's books are. But in this one we follow our main character Austin and his girlfriend and his best friend. His best friend's gay and he is not sure whether he's bisexual or whether he likes his best friend or whether he doesn't. So there's kind of that sort of coming to terms and trying to figure himself out, on top of the fact that they need to try and make sure they don't get killed by massive praying mantises. So yeah, if you like something a bit weird, definitely check out this one. So yes, those are my picks for the top 5 LGBTQ reads. I'm sorry that all of them are either gay or bisexual, but it's just what I prefer to read in this sort of genre. It's not really a genre because all these are completely different, but you know what I mean. Anyway, I hope there's something there for everybody, and I also hope that I've chosen a few things that a lot of people might not have heard of. Obviously More Happy Than Not is not one of those ones that nobody's heard of. But anyway, so yeah, comment down below on some of your recommendations of books that have LGBTQ plus characters in them, or if you've read some of the books that I've mentioned, or if they sound interesting and you haven't read them, then also comment that down below. If you like this video and want to see more, then please subscribe and like, that would be awesome. And check out some of my other videos as well. And yeah, hopefully next month there are some great Top 5 Wednesday topics and I'll carry on this trend of doing it. Anyway guys, thanks for watching and I will see you in a few days. Bye.